Welcome to the analysis series. Today we are covering World 36, known as the minus world in Super Mario Bros. Z. I'm not sure if anyone has talked about this such topic before, but I'll just stay off the SMBZ wiki for now. So we'll be reviewing and analyzing the story and get the information we need on what happens inside of such world, and give my opinion in the end. Sounds good? Let's get to it then. I'll be showing context first before we get into the story and why was it told. Mario and Sonic, along with Goombella and Professor Colorado, are currently stuck in the minus world, with no way to get out. Stopwatch telling the others what happened, he got on a call with EGAD who has started talking with Professor Flankley about the situation. And that's the same guy that would be telling the story behind this world. Many people dismissed it as a myth, but the discovery of an ancient journal proves that it truly exists. The pipe that lies before them is a dimensional gate leading to this unusual dimension. Those who will enter it become trapped forever. The story reads as follows. The journal on question dates back 669 years ago to the Third Piscan War, fought between Toads and the Koopas, that was led by the ruling monarch of the Mushroom Kingdom at the time, Queen Psica the Eighth, in her bid to expand her empire, and her eyes fell on resources underground, since she felt that having control of the pipe maze there could give her a strategic advantage in fighting future wars for land expansion. However, a very large Koopa clan inhabited the area she wanted to take, and thus, Psica knew she was going to have to fight them to get their land. And the war began after that. Both the Toads and the Koopas suffered many casualties. Bowser, the Koopa leader, used an orthodox method of executing captured Toad soldiers, throwing them into a pipe near his underground village, leading into what he called World 36, or as Psica called it when she learned of its capabilities, the minus world. After translation, a November 14th entry inside their ancient journal explains what happened after the Psican army achieved victory. And so, today our queen disposed of them one after the other. They were gone into the minus world, never to come out alive. Only the offspring of Bowser were able to escape our fair queen's genocide. They will most surely harbor contempt toward her descendants if they saw the wall built to deceive the royal map makers, the world, and the future. Would the incumbent Mushroom Kingdom administration have known about this before the journal's discovery? Stoffel asks. Frankly's not sure. This revelation came as a bombshell to his former student, Colorado, who at once took off with an assistant to explore the area said to have been erased from history. He now fears they have suffered the same fate. End of the story. Now let me summarize the important parts of the story we're going to use. 669 years ago, there was a war between the Toads and the Koopas, and the Mushroom Kingdom being ruled by the Queen Psica the Eighth, who found about the underground pipe maze, and saw it as an advantage for future fights to expand her empire, although the Koopa clan inhabited the area already, which has led to the war. Sounds pretty normal so far. After many casualties, Bowser decided to use an orthodox method to get rid of the Toad soldiers, thus introducing us to this pipe leading to World 36. Considering these pipes could lead you to different places, it's basically a teleportation method using, I'm assuming, magic, as it is the most used thing in here. So I suppose this maze that possessed many of those pipes, one of them happened to be a dimensional one. I'm not sure how it works, to be honest. I'm not going to get into the timelines topic, but if that's the case, it could explain why it leads them to the Super Mario Bros. 1 world, quote unquote. After Psica found about it and learned of its capabilities, she called it the minus world. A November 14th entry translation explains what happened after Psica's army achieved victory. Queen Psica disposed of them one after the other, gone never to be back, and only the offspring of Bowser were able to escape her genocide. They will most surely harbor contempt toward her descendants if they found out about the wall. Something I quickly realized is the reason why they would be contempt finding about the wall built to hide the warp pipe is to hide off the evidence for such cruel acts towards the Koopas. This sure is dark. The wall's purpose is to hide the evidence, and so royal war map makers or the world and the future won't find about it. She really wanted it to stay as a secret from what she has done. Now this is just a guess, but the current administration for the Mushroom Kingdom could have known about this information and hid it from the public, perhaps to not scare them, or to not ruin the reputation of the current princess, which is Peach. Here's a fun fact. The word pesca means fishing in Italian, and peach is a noun for to go fishing in French. I assumed they meant the same thing, just spelled different. Either way, it has surprised Frankly's former student, Colorado, who went off to explore and with an assistant to go explore an area claimed to be erased from history, and now it is exposed for the public. Peach could be in trouble, or not. Something else in this story that we have seen is, sure, Bowser found a pipe first and used it to execute the Toad soldiers, but Pesca, after victory, literally executed them one by one into the minus world. She almost killed all Koopas. If Yoshi stayed as his original concept, we would have never gotten him. End of summary. We now know the story about the pipe, who found it, and how is it used. The origins of the pipe itself is unknown. Generated by magic? Made by a toad and someone changed its path using magic? Perhaps, we never know. Now let's talk about the World 36 itself and what's inside. Now I did some research. I wasn't too surprised that it was an actual thing and it wasn't intentional. This is the information we need. So if we view the Super Mario Bros. As its own timeline that doesn't change over time, then it could make sense why this exists. It could be simply a time situation and the two just gone back in time. It's just Sonic commenting on Mario looking retro and the place looking primitive. This is what bugs me to think it's otherwise, like it's a timeline. Tell me what you think though. You can view the world as a Super Mario Bros. Level, so the effect would be a mechanic, right? Well, more like a glitch. I'll be calling it that since it makes sense for this world. In Wikipedia, the term minus world refers to areas in games that exists outside of normal parameters, in this case, limit. Never really meant to exist. I'm assuming when they entered the warp pipe, meaning they entered the game, and then explains the stopwatch later on, but we'll get to that. So it makes sense if we don't view SMBZ world as a game, only the level. That would be an endless loop, as they have entered a place that was never meant to exist. Hence, it doesn't really function. It's very interesting since in order to enter the -1 world in the actual game, you have to maneuver Mario in a particular way to trick the game, sending him to the wrong area. When you enter the so-called pipe, it doesn't get you out from the pipe that is at the end of the level. Rather, and like in the actual Super Mario Bros. Game, it teleports you at the start with no pipe in sight. It's quite unsettling. It's like a door that leads to a place that shouldn't exist and the door disappears or gets teleported elsewhere. Once you do find the door, it doesn't work and just puts you back where you came from, the start of the level. Now how can someone get out of such place? Simple. You really can't. If you paid attention to the story, the Koopas never returned. Luckily enough, Colorado, the student of Professor Frankly, had a special heirloom, the Stopwatch. This item is held by Colorado. The sprite seemed familiar and I was correct. It is an item in Super Mario Bros. 2. It can slow down and stop time, specifically for the level and enemies. For those who are not too familiar with Mario items, including myself, that is what this item does. So when the stopwatch dropped, it caused the negative effect for the level, or in this case, world, to stop. And the pipe in the end now functions as an exit. It didn't just stop the negative effect, it removed it. So as we can see, both the world and the characters turn back to normal. So I'm assuming since the stopwatch came from the real world, aka outside the pipe, it's the reason why World 36's look changed too. Even EGAD was able to communicate with Mario after failed attempts of doing so, which I like to say connects to my theory, but we can also stick to the stopwatch that's simply doing its job. It really depends on how you want to view it. The stopwatch's effect is temporary and will wear off, so they had to act quick and escape. The only pipe being around is the one underwater. Now it's functioning differently, they were able to run to it and escape safely. To make sense out of the pipe's existence, I feel like it's pretty simple. For the plot of the episode, logically. Although if you're like me and wants to think about it more, how did this pipe actually came to be in this pipe maze, then I believe since the minus world has one pipe only, although to be specific only in the NES 1985 version, since it's a more accurate version for what we have, just without the land. And if you're curious, both versions have recorded gameplay of them by Vitzie, will be in the description. Okay, my theory is, since in the minus world, the only pipe that is usable that leads back to the start of the level is creating a loop, it just didn't have a connected path to anywhere, making it broken. That is, until that specific warp pipe in the pipe maze, it's probably one of a kind since there's so many pipes, one of them just couldn't find a path as all were taken. or just somehow it was able to reach that pipe in the minus world. Again, depends on how you view it. But since that pipe is broken, it spawns you in the beginning of the level. That is, until the negative effect is removed by the stopwatch, making the pipe function normally again, connecting to the pipe back in the maze, since it was already connected back when it was used in the SEGA war. Do you think it's too far-fetched, or makes a little sense? Your choice. It's a theory after all. If we view it as a game, then all warp pipes are generated. One couldn't find a path to choose for the pipe to work, so it chose one out of bounds, the minus world warp pipe. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sure myself if they are dimensional, but in the SMBZ universe, they are. That is World 36, better known as the Minus World. Found back in the Third Pacific War, used to execute Toad soldiers by Bowser. Later on into Queen Pacifica, finding about its capabilities, using it to get rid of the rest of the Koopas after achieving victory in the war. To building a wall to hide the warp pipe forever. To deceiving royal map makers and the whole world itself. One way you could escape from it is via the stopwatch acquired by only one Koopa, Colorado, who thankfully had it and was the only Koopa that was able to escape along with his friends, alive. The wall is broken now. It is exposed to the public. Peach's reputation might get ruined. Bowser might have a valid reason to really capture her this time and invade the land again if he finds out about this. That is it for today's video, and I would say this was the most fun so far. I've enjoyed it, and to be fair, I would have made a video anyway because I always was intrigued by this topic. Again, perhaps the week has already covered some stuff, or someone made a video about it already, but I wanted to have my own take on this one, and I hope that you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Have a good day, and don't be near any hidden warp pipes. They are hidden for a reason.